Hey Matt, so you know what I was reminded of this week? You're weird. By you're weird, I mean I'm weird because I'm looking at me at the moment. But you too are probably considered weird to someone. I get reminded of this many times a week for different reasons, because I like stuff other people don't and other people would find slightly unusual, so therefore that makes you, or the thing you're interested in, weird, right? Even I have to acknowledge that some of the things that I do are quite unusual. One thing I tend to do which I know is unusual is I tend to read the lore, the backstory, the wikis from various different game genres and movies without actually watching the movies or playing the games. There are several different gaming properties that I know a lot about that I have never played and probably never will, and it's not just video games. Tabletop games are another huge one. I'm ridiculously knowledgeable about the world of Warhammer 40k, but I will never play the game because it just doesn't seem like something that would interest me. But the lore and the various different armies and stuff, that fascinates me. This practice, what I sometimes do, was brought up several months ago when I was sat in pub with a friend discussing Metal Gear Solid, you know, one of the biggest gaming franchises to come out in the last 20 years, and it revolutionized a certain genre of video games. I've never played Metal Gear Solid 5, and yet I know a lot of the story. This friend could not get his head around why I wouldn't play the other games and yet would rather spend hours reading. And the answer is, I don't really know why I prefer reading things and learning about them and absorbing the knowledge and the world and the lore. I'm not sure this is really related, but outside Xbox and outside Extra, when they play Dungeons and Dragons, I find that really entertaining. But I think that's more because of the people playing than the actual property itself, because I've not really shown much other interest in other Dungeons and Dragons games and players. Honestly, I couldn't tell you why I've got over 200 Warhammer novels lined up in shelves in alphabetical order in there, and yet I've never played the game and I never will. The only two exceptions to this rule I can think of in terms of video games is Final Fantasy and Pokemon. There's been a lot of games and I've played most of them and I know a lot about them, but I do play them again and again, possibly due to nostalgia because I grew up with those two series. But I also grew up around Resident Evil, and I know a lot about Resident Evil again, about the lore of the characters, the backstory, the various viruses. But I've never played a Resident Evil game barring 5 and 6, which are the two worst ranking games of the entire series. And that came up because Resident Evil 2 Remake came out recently, and the same friend I was talking about had bought it and so it was really good, and we got into conversation about it because I knew about everything to do with it. I've just never played it and it doesn't really interest me to play it. Just a weird matter that seems really mundane, but I can't explain it. Not like I don't have time to possibly play these things, because the time I've spent reading the things, I could be playing the things, but I don't know. It's just another weird way my brain works. Anyway, that's another ramble done for another week. Keep mattering, and I'll see you on Monday.